Hi, good morning, and thank you very much for joining our Facebook Live. I'm going to just wait a few moments for some people to jump on board. For you guys that are already here, my name is John. I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon Cosmetic, an Italian company. It's our 50 years anniversary this year, and we operate in over 90 countries across the globe. And our mission is really simple: to supply professional tools to the best salons. And today I'm so excited to be sharing with you the next segment of our collection. So the last few months you guys have been following us, you've seen a lot with Tech Romance. Tech Romance was really built for the spring segment of the Elgon collection, under the container of Generating Uniqueness. And what we mean by uniqueness is really celebrating what is unique and individual about the people that we collaborate with. Whether that's educators, a stylist, a client in the chair, our job is really to make people look and feel the best versions of themselves. So, I can see we're starting to get some people. Hello guys, thank you for joining. I know a few of the guys were with me this morning for our online Train the Trainer, so thank you for coming back and joining us. Today the focus is going to be on one of the iconic looks from Gentle Energy, which is the next part of the collection. Here is some of the iconic images. It's not so clear because it's on my computer screen. I'm improvising here, but do check out the Facebook and Instagram page because we actually have the photos up already. So, Gentle Energy, what is it all about? Well, you're going to see a video in a few days with a bit of a deep dive into what the inspo was and what the story is. I think on a very superficial level, what I would say is Tech Romance is all about escapism, beauty, technology and romanticism, and the hero product in there was iLight, which is perfect because it was a real play and evolution on the pastel trend. Now we're moving into the summer period, or certainly in the northern hemisphere, so it's all about the world of blondes. And Gentle Energy is, I kind of think of it as like a bit of a rebirth of sorts. We're coming back to the salon, the sun is out, people want, they want to be revived, people want a new look. So this is what it's all about, and today we're going to show you Authentic Blonde. Authentic Blonde is a modern take on the classic highlight. The main concept behind it is this idea of a colour that's lived in or worn in. So it's done, but it's not too done. You know, it's fresh, but it's not over the top. This is perfect because part of the inspo came from the 1970s. And I just absolutely love it. So I'm going to talk you through very quickly about one of our new products before we see it in action. We just launched a brand new product called iBlonde Freehand. A fantastic new tool. It's a clay-based decolorant that can lift up to 7 levels on natural hair. It's perfect for sketching directly onto the hair without the risk of making marks or bleeds in the hair. Fantastic to really exploit your creativity. Also inside this product is a really neat piece of technology called AC Oil Complex. It's a blend of different oils that have cosmetic properties in them, and that's going to help. It has kind of soothing properties to it, and it also has anti-frizz properties to it. And it works a bit like a buffer during the lightening process, so it's fantastic. Hi guys, thank you for joining. I can see we've got people from lots of different time zones, so yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so let's crack on with the color technique. The sectioning pattern is very, very simple. What we've done is we've started off, I've pre-cut a bit of a fringe in. We're going to do the haircut next week. But what we've done is we've pre-cut a fringe, so just a very soft triangular section through the front, working through a center profile from the center forehead down into the lower back hairline. And then what we have then done is taken a radial section which travels from ear to ear. We're just behind the ears. Sometimes on mannequins the ear is in a little bit of a strange place. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to work up with what we call a straight up technique. So we're going to work literally straight up the head. I've already pre-sectioned my first area. We've taken a section roughly about an inch deep, Hi Sabita, thank you for joining us. Hello guys from Philippines, great to have you with us. We're going to start with a classic medium weave through the back area, like so. Just checking the density of the weave, the spacing of the weave. And what I'm going to do is just clip that up and away. The first few sections I'm going to be a little slower, just so it's easier to see. And then we'll start speeding it up. Now I'm going to take the section from underneath and I'm going to use our new freehand decolorant. So I'm using the Elgon Precision brush just to give me some added control. And I'm going to work from the outside, building it up just off the root and then working into the center. So a bit like a V shape of sorts. I'm going to just put down the comb because that will give me a little bit more control when I'm working. I'm going to just build it up through the ends. And the point here is to make a V shape. Like so. There we go. And then I'm just going to build up the colour through the ends. What you can do is just put a little bit on your wrist, like so. And just work that through the ends. Just so you don't run the risk of contaminating the hair. Build that up, like so. There we go, perfect. And then what I'm going to do is just use my small finger and I'm just going to help blend and melt these colours in. That just avoids any build-up or residual lines in the colour. Just drop that down and you can see, if I just turn the chair slightly, can you see we've got a nice little V appearing, working from the outer points into the centre, building up the colour through the ends, making sure I've got a good saturation of colour. Just so I don't contaminate the hair, I'm just going to use a towel just to wipe off the residual product. And now I'm going to unclip the section from above, like so. Make sure there's no unwanted hairs in there. And I'm going to use the Elgon lightning board. It's perfect for techniques like this. It's got a bit of a curve cut out to the top. The reason for that is to actually help the product slot right into the head, because remember the head, it is a round object, so it's going to help me get more control when I'm working. I'm working right into the root, not on the scalp of course, because we don't want any demarcations on the hair. And I'm just going to pull that out like so. So what you're going to see, the effect you're going to get from this is like a blend. It's not quite an ombre or a balayage, but it isn't quite a classic set of highlights. It's like a hybrid between the two. And the nice thing about this technique is the fact that you are able to play and adapt it as you need to. So for example, you might decide that actually you just want to do the highlight portion and not do the ombre part. No problem. Just do that. Just do your highlights. The nice thing is here we're doing like a combo between the two. So you've got the build up of colour through the ends. It's that which is what creates that beautiful lived in effect. And then inside you've got the melting of these beautiful, beautiful highlights. And of course, like I said, you can drop one part out. So maybe you choose to not do the highlights and just do the freehand part. You can really mix and match it, make it your own. I mean, each one of us are unique, so you know, play on that. See what I'm doing? I'm working with the precision brush up and down to give me some more control as I'm working, adding some product onto my wrist, like so. I'm still going to work the product into the ends. I want to make sure I've got that beautiful build-up of colour, like so. There we go. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really hot. It's unbelievable. It's when the summer comes, it really does come. I'm like melting in my little studio with all these thousands of lights. And I did just realise I didn't show you the product. So look, here it is inside the bowl. It starts off as like a clay powder, let's say, and then it melts beautifully in with your developer. Another really nice note, the clay part, the clay itself that's inside the product also has cosmetic properties to them. So the nice thing about that is that that's also going to help during the lightening process. And also another thing to bear in mind, we also use a particular type of algae in the decolorants. Algae is particularly great because it's packed full of antioxidants, and it works a bit like a buffer during the lightening process. So it's all of these elements work together to help, help during what traditionally would be quite an aggressive color process. Now, with this particular product, you can use this with all of the developers. Of course, what you do need to consider is, what you start with plus what you put on it equals what you get. So it's something you need to just bear in mind when you're working is, you have to look at the hair that you're working on. And as some of you will know, our rule is always go low and go slow. So it's better to use a lower developer, but leave it on for longer. So for this, because I'm working on a mannequin, I do have to be a little bit careful. Here we're working with 1 to 2 with 20 volumes Elgon Oxy Cream. Something else that I think is quite nice to just note as well is our Oxy Creams also have some cosmetic elements to them. So the Elgon Oxy Cream is actually enriched with aloe vera, and aloe vera is amazing, not only, of course, for the scalp, so when you're doing scalp applications, whether it's decoloration or using an ultra blonde, but also, when you're doing highlights and things as well, it's still going to work. And of course, it's packed full of glycerin, which is a very powerful moisturizing agent. It's very, very potent. Okay, so here we have to just be careful because we're not really getting a V, so I'm just going to add a bit more definition in there. Now, when we are doing a freehand colour, think of it like painting, so the more pressure or the more weight or the more product that you're adding into the hair, that's going to come in the final result. So if you look, here we've got a heavy build of colour through the ends. This is where I really want maximum lightness. And then through the top, yes, I'm going a bit stronger through the root because I want that definition in the colour. But then in that mid-band, we're really working at blending that through. And the main reason for that is because we do still want a transition. We don't want it to just be dark and then light. There still needs to be that beautiful transition. Of course, we don't need to worry too much because, of course, we've got the highlights in that, so that's also going to help us. I'm paying extra attention with the thickness and the width between each highlight, because I don't want them to be too thick, but I want them to be strong enough to be seen. We're working on quite a light, warm base, so I am really going for it with the colour on this. The Mannequin, as you can see, it's a pretty... Well, when it came out the box, it was really orange. So last night I used the anti-red Color Care Elgon shampoo. This base is a bit too light really to use that product on, but it works quite nicely with just neutralizing it, just so I've got as cool as possible a base to work with to really get a great color. Just going to clip that away. Very easy, horizontal sections, just working through. Also note, when I'm weaving, one of the reasons why I like to use an extra long comb is because it's for added control. So using an extra long pintail comb really helps me when I'm working with my sections. Of course, if the work is more intricate, more detailed, I would use something a little smaller. Hey Kay, thank you for joining. Hello from Scotland, indeed. All right, so just working in, you see the width of the board is perfect for such large sections. But do be careful because you still need to work with discipline and work with control. So you need to, don't become complacent. It's very easily done. Okay, so just working that through. This one, these highlights, I'm not so worried about because the highlights are more. It's an addition, So I'm really not so concerned here. Just drop that down. I'm also, just as a note, I'm cleaning the board between every section. The reason for that is you don't want to end up contaminating, your other areas. All right, so I'm going to leave that for now because I just realised I did a bit too much here. We got it the wrong way around. So I'm actually going to do the V here because that's going to be quite a big panel. So let's just continue through here. Blame the heater. Oh, it's far too warm. I'm not very good at this heat. No, being here in the Netherlands, we always have to put up with rain. So yeah, it's not the best. All right, same principle. Product on the back of the hand and just working through the top area. So later on, you're not going to see this in today's session just because of the interest of time. But later on, I'm going to tone this look very, very easy. We're going to do like a root stretch. And we're going to do that using Imagea. So you guys, if you've got some experience with Imagea, feel free to write in the comments. It's really a fantastic product. It's absolutely brilliant. We launched Imagea, I think 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. I was I was involved in the development process with the team. And yeah, it really is a fantastic product. It's a permanent colour. It can offer up to 70% of coverage on white hair, sorry, 80%. It's completely free of PPD and resorcinol, and it's totally ammonia free as well. And this falls under the Elgon Green product category. So this is an arm of the world of Elgon, where the products have to abide by very, very specific guidelines and rules. And if they don't pass those rules, then we won't use them. So for example, we're super conscious with everything from the packaging of the product right through to the formulations inside of the product. So it really is an amazing product. In terms of the result, because of course this is what everyone wants, in terms of the result, the shine is absolutely incredible. This is thanks to some of the neat bits of active ingredients and technology that we have inside of the product. So we use quinoa, which is sustainably sourced, and it's amazing for its reconstructing properties. And very, very helpful for the durability of the colour. So all of these elements, they all interact together to produce really what I think is one of my favourite technical products. It's absolutely wonderful. The other thing as well is the pigment. If you look at the results, the luminosity and how true to tone it is totally amazing. So later on today, I'm going to, after I've done the decoloration stage, I'm going to tone it. I'm going to tone the look. We're going to work with a bit of a root stretch with the toner. So we're going to shampoo the hair. We'll even out the porosity using the Sublimia DD cream. And then while the hair is damp or just slightly towel dried, we're going to work through with a bit of a shadow through the root. So we're going to work with level 8, so colour level 8. And mixed in with that is going to be 713, which is our cool beige ash. Beautiful. We do that with 10 volumes, just so we don't create too much of a deposit on the hair. And then through the midlands and the ends, we're going to mix level 10 with 927. And that's going to create like a bit of a neutralized pearlescent blonde. And it's going to kill off some of the original warmth that's in here. Just work through, go a little bit closer to the root. There we go. You have to be very careful with keeping the discipline when you're working, because it's very easy, particularly when you're talking. I'm not a very good multitasker. It's very easy to lose track where you're working. Now, of course, you have to be very careful not to go too high. So this is really like my limit. Of course, the highlights are going to help melt everything in. But like I said, it's very nice. I mean, as a colour technique, we've taken, when we were thinking about color techniques, we were like, okay, we don't want to do a traditional balayage or an ombre, and we don't really want to do a highlight per se. We want to do something that's a little bit, something that's a little bit different. And, we wanted to do something where you could get maximum impact with minimum effort, and something that, not all salons are going to be offering. And this is really the result of all of that. In America, I do hair too, but the heads are not so changed. Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes the heads can be a little bit of a nightmare, but I'm not going to lie. Before this whole situation, I was, and thank you, Uncle Carl. Before this whole situation, I was dead against using mannequins. I would never ever use a mannequin because I don't like working with the hair. It's very difficult to take clean sections when you're working. And actually, over the time, I've come to realize it's quite amazing what you can do with a mannequin. All right, so we're just now moving on into our last sections. It's a little bit difficult for me because I'm quite tall, so I'm just going to lower it down. Look, you can see the clay is already doing its actions. Let's wipe that off. Perfect, there we go, that's better. So we're just working straight up to the top. So we've just got maybe 2 more sections and we're going to be finished. So just drop that away, checking the density of the weave, making sure that I'm happy with how thick it is. Of course, when you're doing your highlights, the same rules apply. So, look at the texture of the hair, look at the thickness of the hair. If there's a curl, if it's straight, that needs to really help dictate what you do in terms of placement, the angles, and so on. The rule that we always have is, the thicker the hair, the finer the sections, because as you know, if these sections are too thick, it is a very good chance that your color is going to become lost inside of the hair, And it's also the same for finer hair. You have to be very careful with how you're approaching your colors. All right, let's just drop that down. And I can see already this is developing absolutely beautifully. Okay, so just moving on through to the highlight. And of course you can totally change, how much you lighten underneath. You can add more, you can add less, you can change the angles, you can change the sectioning. So, like with everything, a technique serves as an inspo. Something that you can take back to the salon. But each one of you are completely unique. So it's, it's up to you how you adapt it and evolve it. There isn't one that suits every single person. Okay, so now just moving on to the last 2 sections. Just working through. So again, I'm going to take my weave, medium weave, just drop that away. Let's clip that up and away, where I'm putting my clips. Terrible habit of losing everything. I'm just going to blame everything on the heat today. Okay, just comb that through. And we're just going to work a little more through the surface. So I don't know if you're watching the time, because I am keeping a close eye on it. The whole principle behind this technique is it should be very easy and very quick. What we really wanted to do was to take a typical salon service, let's say a full head of highlights, and we wanted to evolve that and do something a little more modern. So if you think traditionally in the salon, you would maybe do a full head of highlights. We're looking at a service time of around an hour and a half. And in this current situation right now, we don't have the luxury of spending an hour and a half doing something like that. We have to be, it has to be quick, and it has to give us a great result. So what we wanted to do was to take a classic service like a full head of highlights and reinterpret it in a different way, and really reduce the service time down quite significantly. So of course here we're doing a fusion of a pure freehand plus the highlights, But if you were just to do the highlights, it would be very plausible that you could do this in, I think, 45 minutes. So, you know, it's quite a significant reduction in service time. And of course, you're not using, you know, you're not using foil, you're not using any mesh to isolate the hair, because here we have a product which is designed to, you know, lay on the surface of the hair. So it's also, you know, it's actually greener, you know, it's much, much better. Okay, now we're on the last section. I have to be very careful not to go too crazy here. So I'm just going to work through just a little on the surface. Same on this side. And then we're going to work on the other side. Building up the colour again through the ends. Working on the palm and just melting that through the ends. So write in the comments if you guys have had a chance to get your hands on this new product, or if you have any questions. I will do my very best to answer your questions as they pop up in the chat box. But if not, don't panic. After the session, I will come back and answer them as we go. Okay, so that's side one done. So I don't know if you can see already, but the lighting is beautiful, and I'm quite liking the effect we're getting here. Same principle on the other side. Should hopefully be a little bit easier. Is this a balayage? This is actually a very, very good question. It's like a hybrid, and thank you, is that Mimi? Yeah, thank you, Mimi. It's like a hybrid, to be honest with you. So if you drop out the highlights, indeed, it's a balayage. But it's like a fusion technique, so it's something that fits into the two. And the reason for this is because you know, balayage is something that we see all the time, and there are so many different ways of doing it. So what we wanted to do was to, you know, take something that we see and reinterpret it in a different way, and a way that you can adapt and evolve it as you wish, you know. So we're going to tone it with the tone it with image here, sorry, but we can, if we want to, enhance it with highlight, and it's perfect. I mean, if you think, when you looked at Tech Romance, you know, there was definitely a big play on using highlight in a very, very, very creative way, playing with filters and pastels. But you know, don't forget that highlight isn't only for creative use, it can also be used to enhance what you're working with. So, you know, if I'm working with a total decoloration, so a total bleach, or I'm working with classic highlights, or I'm working with a balayage, or you know, a freehand color, actually it's going to work beautifully on all of them. You know, you've got the full portfolio of products there, you know, to play with and to expand on. Perfect. All right, so just working through, same principle, horizontal, keeping everything totally horizontal. Being careful not to keep the sections too fine. All right. So for you guys that have just joined, welcome. Thank you very much for joining our session today. My name is John. I'm the Global Education Manager at Elgon. And if you have been following our videos, the last kind of few months, we've been really focusing in on Tech Romance. Now we're moving into summer, so you know, a bit of a fresh approach. People are wanting to lighten their hair and play with their hair. So here we have Gentle Energy. This is all about, you know, expressing ourselves in a way which is really simplistic, beautiful, you know, wearable, and you know, I think it's a perfect time, because Tech Romance was perfect for that escapism. There was something very creative happening there. You know, it was a little bit different. Here we're working on something that is, you know, super salon friendly. Hi, thank you for joining. And like I was saying earlier, you know, this is a great technique if you just want to focus on the highlights. Great, focus on the highlights and don't do the balayage. maybe you don't want to do the highlights and just focus, you know, on the other, then you can. So that's the nice thing about this as a technique. It's very easy, very simple, and you can adapt it and evolve it as you wish and adapt it to your own style. So we're just working through, we're about halfway through this side here. You see we've got quite a wide section through the back, but we are still keeping everything totally square. And working the weave right through the root area. Now the nice thing about freehand as well is you wouldn't normally be able to get all of that into one foil because of the curve in the head. So if you were doing a traditional highlight technique, really you'd need to do a foil here, and a foil here. But working with freehand, you're able to really do the whole section. So let's just work through. I'm going to grab myself another brush because it's getting a little messy. We don't like that. Perfect. Take the section, combing it through, pinch it. That's another nice point. Pinch it so it's in the center and start melting the colouring from the outside into the interior, working just off the root. So I've got that beautiful definition here. We're going to do the same on this side. Pay special attention to the angle that we're holding the brush as well, because it's also very, very important. If you're not sure, it feels awkward, pull the hair down so you can really see what you're working with. Working through, brushing upwards, like so. And voila, okay? Then on the ends, I'm just going to put some colour onto my hand, onto my wrist. Or hand, I always get confused. I'm just going to work that through the ends. Let's just add a little more. Remember, like a painting, the more you apply in the zones, the greater that lift is going to be. So, you know, it's like when you're painting a canvas, you know, the hair is really your canvas. You know, how you paint really determines the final result. So if you look at the size of the board, it fits perfectly into the section, right into the center, and this is going to be our highlight. Start from the mid band and just work my way up to the root area so we don't have to keep going through it. You want to make sure you get it right the first time so you don't need to go back through it. Build up the colour through the ends, and voila. And can you see like how delicate those highlights are through that mid band? So you've still got the build up, so you're not losing the freehand part of it, but you've still got these beautiful little highlights through that mid band. And again, you can keep the sections as thick as you want or as fine as you want. The same with the weaves. Of course you could slice it. I personally would advise against slicing it because there is a chance that the slices are going to really hide what you've done with the freehand element. So, you know, you have to be quite cautious, you know. Again, just going to weave that through. Make sure you guys can see what we're doing. Going to clip that away so we totally ignore it. And we're not subdividing the underneath area. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you absolutely could. It could create a little bit more of a challenge when you're working, but it will create a result that is more delicate. It's going to create a much more subtle result. And can you also see, I'm going to show you a little better once we're done. Hey Tang, thank you so much for joining. We all miss you, particularly Doreen. Once I'm finished, I'm going to show you, you know, really the definition within the highlights. I really, really love it. Because you can see, you know, when you put the colour onto the hair, it literally sits in its space. So it's not shifting, it's not moving, it just stays exactly where you want it to go. Just going to work that down, pinch this back into the centre. I want to add a bit more product for that mid band. Here I'm just using the brush, I'm not using the fingers, but of course you could you could just do it entirely with the fingers, but here I want to be a little more heavy-handed with it, like so. I'm always always checking the shape as well. Yeah, so if I wanted it softer, I could take the V a little bit lower down, just leave a bit more of a build up through the ends. You know, it's totally up to you. And what's that from Savita? Can I go from every aspect? Absolutely, thank you, Savita. Indeed, it's something that's, you know, really important. It's our duty, you know, to make sure that, you know, we're supplying you guys with the tools and the instruments that you need to do the best work that you can do. And I think something that's also really nice, so Sabita, if you don't follow her on Instagram or on Facebook, I suggest you do. Her work she's like a sneaky hidden diamond. You just come across her amazing color work, and her color corrections are absolutely fantastic. You can really see our products at their best through her work. It's fantastic. So bravo, Sabita. Thank you for joining. All right, so now just finishing up this top section. I think I'm probably going to need to mix up a little more, which is totally fine, because honestly speaking, you know, we've been talking now for nearly 30 minutes, nearly 40 minutes. So it's, you know, I want to make sure that I also get an equalized lift from the back through the sides. Something that we actually did for the shoot, when we did the images for the collection, we actually started off with 6% Elgon Oxy Cream through the back area, and then worked with 9% Elgon Oxy Cream through the sides. And what that does is it just helps, as best as possible, create a beautiful equalized lift. You know, if it's nice and even, it really makes your toning become a real dream. You know, you've got a fantastic canvas to work with, you're not compensating with the toner. You know, so like if you saw earlier, I accidentally decolored a whole section, but I'm not too stressed about it, because, you know, with the toning stage we can equalize that out visually. We're just working through, making sure I've got the discipline through the root area. You know, what you don't want, there's nothing worse than getting a set of highlights and you know, you can land an Airbus A380 on the root. It's really important to make sure that, you know, if it's done, if it's a highlight, make sure it's a highlight. You know, don't be doing it like, you know, half an inch or an inch off the root area. And anyone can do it. It's just purely down to nothing more than discipline and control while we're working. Okay, so let's just work through here. Yep. And we're going to just weave that section like so. I have picked up a bit of hair from underneath, but it's all good. Excellent. Like so. And we're going to work with our V's. Just make sure that we're not picking up the highlights like so. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. And I don't know if you can see this already, but I think the lightening process, it looks like it's going very well. I'm really not too concerned. And in through the sides, I'm going to do something a little bit different from the original image. I want to build up the colour a bit more, create like a fake money piece, you know, that kind of idea. So a little bit more illuminated around the face. Okay. But I mean, of course, there are so many ways of working with freehand. So I think what I'm very happy about is we really have a new tool that you can all play with to really express, you know, your uniqueness, your individuality, you know. Okay, so I think we're working up to the last two sections. Yep. Just clip that away. As we're working up, we're kind of pivoting like into a point through the top area. again, this is really just for added control as I'm working. Just clip that away. I'm going to just turn it a little bit so you can see a bit better. This is going to be a little bit more challenging for me, but let's see if I can do it. And you've got a better view. So, starting from the outside, working from the root, making sure there isn't too much product through the root area. If you want, you can also lift it up and work, also from the underneath. Bring it down into a point. I'm pinching it into the center. This is also quite important. Same on the other side. I'm going to work up. Let's just lift my arm so you can actually see. Like so. So we've got those beautiful points. And then this is where we're going to start the blending process. So let's just work through. And I'm going to just start by melting upwards with the brush. Now if I want to diffuse that a little more, what I can do now is go in, use my little finger. I'm learning Dutch at the moment, so I don't know what language I'm speaking half the time. It's a bit of a disaster. Okay, so you can see here, can you see we've got the points on the corners? We've got that blending inside the midband. Now we're going to work through those ends. So, just going to go through. Again, on my arm, on my hand, my wrist. And we're just going to melt that right through to the ends, like so. Lift it up. Just going to work the product in a little more. And can you see what we've got here? That beautiful shape. Now, if I wanted to, I could just leave it. Like, I would be very happy with that, just as it is. But if I let's imagine, like with this mannequin, there's too much warmth in the top here, but I want that build up through the ends. This is a perfect solution. You just work with the highlights. And what that's going to do is it's going to create all these little blonde dots through the top that diffuse in there. So you don't lose this work. All you're doing is you're just blending it through a little more, It's a very, very quick and effective way of doing like a bit of a mini change. And once you've got a great base, then you can really start to play and experiment with your colour. You can really start evolving it. Maybe you want it cooler, and maybe you want it warmer. Maybe you want to make the root more dramatic. That's perfect, you can do that. Once you've got a good canvas to work on, the rest of it just falls into place. Alright, so let's just weave this last section. I'm not so concerned about this. It's quite a big section, but it's all good. I'm not so worried about it. So, let's just pinch it into the middle again. I'm going to remove the comb for now, just to give me a little more control, because I have to be very careful here. I'm going to work with the point. You see? So now we're etching in the line. Let's do the other side. Pinch it into the middle. And we're going to etch that right from the root down into the midband. So here we've got a few areas that we need to melt, but it's all good. And I'll just work up. That's it. Like so. You see what we're doing here? So we're going to get that beautiful definition on the back of the wrist, and I'm just going to melt that down. All right, like so. Okay, now on to the very last section through the top, and then we move on to the easy part, which is the sides. And then there's a really cool thing I'm going to show you for the fringe. I think it's a little different. It's not identical to what we did in the collection. In the collection we did something, we actually followed the same principle. So I'm going to show you how to do it on a shorter length. But I'm also going to show you something called finger highlights. It's very, very effective on short hair. It's very quick, very easy, and creates a beautiful natural effect. So this is the back section, and I don't know if you can see already, but look, if you look very, very, very closely in the roots, can you see there's no bleedage? It's not swelled, it's not moved, it's not done anything. It's staying exactly where we want it to stay. So let's now move on to the sides. Now I'm going to actually mix up. I need to remix some product. So I'm going to remix it, but I think this is also quite a nice opportunity to show you guys actually how the product is and also how the product mixes. So I'll give you a bit of an insight into the actual product itself. Just going to clip that away, just make sure it's isolated. I'll move on to the other side. Okay, and that's developing beautifully. So let's get this mixed up. So we're working with a 1:2 mix ratio. This is exactly what is recommended for the product. We don't recommend that you mix visually or you mix, you change your developer, because the consistency of the product is designed, the mix ratio is designed to ensure that we can guarantee the correct consistency. So if you increase the developer, it's going to run the risk of making the product too watery or too diluted. And decreasing the developer, you're going to run the risk of the product being maybe too thick or not easy enough for you to work with. So it's very, very important, when we develop any product, it's very important to make sure that you are following the guidance of the product. Through that, you can guarantee a result. Hey, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so here it is. This is the product with the developer. I'm just going to start blending it together. Now, it's a little bit difficult to show you. Oh, there we go. So can you see, it's not like a traditional bleach. You can really see the clay base working inside of the product. You do need to make sure, though, that is well fused together. The developer, the Elgon Oxy Cream, and the powder. So look, you can see already, we're starting to work it through, and now you can see the clay is starting to do its thing. But what you don't want, like with any decolorant, is any lumps or clumps. This is definitely not what you want. As you know, if you have any clumps in your formula, when you apply it to the hair, you could end up with some areas that are maybe over or underdeveloped. That could end up affecting how even and how clean your base is when you're working. All right, so, like so. It's a beautiful, beautiful paste. And look, it's not dripping off the brush. And that's mixed 1:2. Okay, maybe that little bit there. But that's mixed 1:2. Yeah, so don't mix it any thicker. Don't mix it any softer. Don't over dilute the product. Okay, so let's now move on to the last sections. This is the kind of the easy part now. So we're going to work totally horizontal. And again, you can really play with this. You can totally make this your own. I'm going to work through horizontal. So earlier I told you I wanted to maybe do something that opened up the face a bit more. It's a little bit brighter around the front. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the Y quite a lot deeper around the front to illuminate it, to frame the face. Very, very good question from Sabita. Can I use this with, do I need to use Link D services with the clay lightener? No, it can be used without Link D. Of course, it has been tested with Link D, and you can use Link D with all of our technical products. So it's perfect if the hair is slightly compromised, it needs a little bit of protection during a lightening process, then your Link D is your go-to. You can absolutely add this in with the service. So we're going to go a little stronger around the face, but still working with that principle there. So still working with a bit of a V. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive around the face. I'm not painting the underneath. I want to avoid that at all costs. And we're going to work through the mid-lengths and the ends. Now in the video, if you've seen it, we actually used we used a brand new tool, which are the spongy foils. So it's like a mesh, perfect for these types of techniques, because I mean, unfortunately I don't have it because of course we're having some challenges like everyone with deliveries. So unfortunately we're having a few issues with the delivery services in Italy, but we do actually have the spongy foils, and they are totally perfect for something like this. If I am concerned about getting, some product on the skin, or I'm concerned about my discipline, then it is a perfect go-to. And unfortunately I don't have it with me today to show you. Okay, working through horizontal, keeping the sections a little thicker just to avoid it going too blonde around the face. Just going to turn the head slightly. I'm hoping you guys are finding this interesting and helpful. Do feel free to write your comments or your questions in the box below. I know we have a lot of people here that are current users of Elgon products, so let me know what you think about the new product. If you're excited to get your hands on this, I know I was. I was very happy to finally get my hands on this product. But yeah, please feel free to write your comments in the box. And also, if this is your first time watching one of our sessions, we do them every week on a Tuesday, midday, so 12 o'clock Milano time. And we do everything from cutting. Last week there was a great styling session with Zoe, who's one of my fantastic colleagues. So if you want some inspo or some tips and tricks or something that to trigger your mind, maybe you're already in the salon, maybe you're about to go back to the salon, please join us. You'll find all the videos on our Connect by Elgon YouTube channel, which is a dedicated space focusing in on top tips and tricks, ranging from how to prepare your salon for reopening, right through to in-depth know-hows on how to get the most from our product portfolio. Okay, so just working through, we're now coming to the last few sections through this side. Same principle, pinch it into the middle. If I want more control, it's okay, just drop your comb, pinch it into the middle and work from the outside inwards. Here, like I said, I want to be more dramatic around the face, so it's all good. I'm working right from the root through the back and just keeping it a little softer. In the mid-band, I'm going to build up that colour, working the brush upwards, but I could use my fingers if I want to. Put the product onto my wrist, or palm, or whatever you want to call it. And then just drop that down, like so. Okay, next section. Now the highlight. And we're just going to work that through, very easy, like so. And like I said, you're not going to see the toning part today because that will be done after the colour has developed. But check back to the video a little bit later on because we will share it with you, the final look, and of course all of the formulas. So we haven't shared with you the formulas, but we will do that later on. So you'll be able to, once you've got your hands on this product, you'll be able to start having some fun and recreate it. Or make it your own and do something different with it. I think it's also very important because there are so many salons. I mean, Kay is actually with us, and she's a very dear friend of mine, and she also taught me a great deal. And certainly with colour, one of the things I've always been quite rigid with colour. So back in the day, the idea of doing anything that's freehand, I would find quite scary. I'm a little bit more old school. But the thing is, the market has changed, and why would you do something that everyone else is doing when You know, you can do something different and keep clients coming back for more and more. That's, you know, that's what clients are looking for. They want to leave the salon feeling and looking amazing. And if you can do that with a technique or a product or, you know, a method that maybe another salon isn't doing, that's your money maker, you know, and that's what people are looking for. People want something that is tailor-made or unique to them or bespoke. And with the correct tools, you know, you can totally do that. You just need to have the guts to try it, play with it, and experiment with it, because, you know, the tools are there. You know, we are creating the tools to help bring out the best in you guys. And it's the same for education. If you are you know, if you are an Elgon customer, you purchase our products, contact your local supplier for education, because it's you know, there is so much out there. There's so much information and knowledge and tips and tricks that we can help you, and it's really our duty, or my duty, to ensure that, you know, we keep you guys as motivated and as inspired as possible, you know. And as we say, you know, each one of us it's never a competition. So it's not about who is the best or whatever. What it's really about is bringing out the best in each other. And, you know, our job is to, you know, it's not to teach, it's to coach, it's to support you guys to be the best versions of yourself, you know. And hi guys, thank you so much for joining. Alright, so we're now just working through one of the last sections on the side. I can see I've got a little friend here. There's a fly that's joined me on my live, and seems to rather like jumping into the decolorant. So let's that will be interesting to see what happens to it. Just melt that with my fingers. Not being so aggressive with the surface, because this is going to be you know, this is the money shot. This is what people are going to see. So, you know, this is on top of the head, so we have to be a little bit more careful. Okay, I'm just working through here. Going back through to do the highlight, and then we're going to switch over to the other side, and then the last section, the fringe. Very, very easy. Do you think, this is an open question to everyone, do you think this is something that you would maybe try in your salon? Is it something that you would maybe experiment with? Can you already picture clients that you could maybe do this on? Let me know, put it in the comments below. And of course, if you have any questions, the floor is open. So if you have any questions or doubts, you know, don't hesitate to jump in with your questions. When I see them, I will do my very best to make sure I answer them. So this is just the final section here, so I'm not going to be quite so heavy-handed. I think I managed to just paint my face, which is quite delightful. And you can see I just got a little bit excited there, so I'm just using my finger to just stretch that down. So don't ever panic if you accidentally, you know, you're a bit too hard with it, too heavy with it. It's all good. Just blend it with your fingers. Okay, so voila, we're just going to move into the last highlight, which is just here. And I'm so curious to see, you know, if you guys are going to try this technique, you know, post it and tag us in the photos. It's always really great to see what you guys are doing, and I would love to see some like different variations. I mean, this is more or less what we did for the collection, but of course it would be fantastic to see, you know, how you guys are adapting and evolving it and putting your own stamp on it, because, you know, that is also super important. All right, so we're just now moving into the last sections. I think in about 10 minutes, we're going to be done with this. So I'm going to just speed this up a touch. This side is always a little bit more challenging for me because I'm a lefty. So I'm going to have to be a bit more gutsy. Just drop that down, keeping the sections totally horizontal. We're going to work in with the weave, working very close to the scalp. I do that to try and keep keep control. when I'm working, because if you look, it's helping me keep the discipline and distribution of the weaves. So let's just clip that away, forget about it, comb this from the underneath. Let's just put the comb down, not lose the clips as I'm working. And now I want the graphic part to be around the face, so let's start building up the color around here. Like so. Let's do the same on the other side, build up the color. Like so. So we've already started to get the beginning of the V shape. Okay, and then let's just work through. I'm going to start blending that out, like so. Just use a finger, just melt that up. So it just creates a bit more of a diffusion. Development time, very good question, thank you. Development time is up to 45 minutes. And of course, when you're using the Elgon product portfolio, we don't recommend that you're using an accelerator. So don't, you're not using a heat like a climber zone or any other form of infrared heater. We always recommend, for best results, you develop using room temperature heat, which today I think if I didn't have a window it would be very warm. And how many levels? Very good question again. So this product can lighten natural hair up to 7 levels. So it's got a good amount of lift in this product. Okay, let's move on to the next section. And then, like I said, once we are finished, so we're going to develop it for the 45 minutes. We will rinse off the back in about 15 minutes because it's looking like where it needs to be, and we don't want to overdevelop the hair. And then we'll allow the front to develop that bit longer. So put the comb down, pinch it, pinch and punch, flavour of the month. That's how I try and remember this. Okay, working for the outer part, do the same on the other side. Building up the colour. Like so. I need to work a bit more through here, but it's all good. I'm not worried. Let's work that in. There we go. Use the finger just for some control. Let's just melt that together. You see? So here we're getting the blurring. I want to build up the colour a little more. So let's just go back through, hold that down. There we go, just so we've got that definition on the edges. On the wrist, like so. Okay, and what you do want to avoid then, this is very important, that you don't have any splodges, I should say. See, I told you my English is getting worse. All right. And then what you want is that beautiful transience in the colour. Are you going to put a toner on it after the lightening process? Indeed, we are always going to, we always like to tone it, because the way I see it is when you're lightening the hair, it's a little bit like, you're baking the cake, let's say. Not that I bake, just to clarify. But it's like, you're baking a beautiful cake. So, you're lightening the hair. Remember that decolorant isn't a colour. It's a decolorant is the removal of colour. So, I mean, sometimes you can use that in your favour. So if you're lightening the hair and, you love the result, perfect. But I always see the toning process, it's like putting the icing on top of a cake, it's like the cherry on top of the cake. So, and of course there's so many weapons in your armory from the world of Elgon that you can use. So, we've got colour care, we have a silver shampoo and silver conditioner, perfect for neutralising orange and yellow. We have the anti-red shampoo. This is perfect for killing red and orange, predominantly red. It's like a moss green, so it's fantastic for its anti-red properties. You've got Eyelight, very, very good neutralizer. And then you've also got Eye Care as well, which is a product that can also be used at home. Yeah, and then of course you've got oxidation colour. So it depends on what result you're looking for, the durability, and weighing up the pros and cons of what you think is the appropriate product for the result that you're seeking. I mean, I personally work more with oxidation colour because I like the durability. I think there's nothing worse than you do something and it looks beautiful, and then the next time the client washes it, or they go to the sea or something, it could end up the durability may not be there. What product will be using for the finishing shine? Very good question, and thank you very much. So let's talk about this. So of course you've already got inside of the eye blonde, you've also already got the AC oil complex, which is a cosmetic ingredient, so that's already going to help boost shine. We're also going to be toning the hair with Imagea colouring gel, and the formula will be uploaded into the comments of a photo later on today. The shine from that is absolutely incredible. We're also going to do a treatment. We're going to use a product called Infusion, which is a Salon professional treatment service. We're going to use Supreme Brilliance for super high shine. And then if we talk about finishing products, we're going to use Fix Shine It. It is an amazing product. It has no hold factor to it, but creates this beautiful diamond-like shine, and we use it. It's one of our iconic hero products, and we use it all the time. And you'll see it later when you see the final image uploaded. It will be up there. Nice thing as well about a Fix, and you'll find this a lot with our products, is the cosmetic components inside of them. So a Fix, for example, has a really cool piece of technology in it called Soya Active. What we do is we take a soy protein and we actually infuse it inside of the product. It also, the styling products, so it works like a treatment, a time-release treatment for the hair. It's beautiful when you rinse it. But we've also got inside of the styling line UV protection. So it's also going to help protect the durability of your beautiful salon colour work. Okay, so we're now just moving on to the last few sections in the top, and I think we're going to do this just in time. It's so nice to be here. I'm so excited to share with you guys the new collection. What do you guys think? Are we liking the new imagery and the inspo? What do you think? Write in your comments below. I think it's definitely, for me, it's definitely a breath of fresh air. Okay, so just moving in. Just going to ignore that for now, and let's just work on the underneath. Okay. It's always very difficult. I'm using my camera also as my mirror, so it's not that I'm checking myself out. I'm just making sure that everything looks nice and clean. Does it look clean to you? I hope so. It's always very difficult trying to multitask. Okay. Just working through, stretching that down. Again, use the finger, just melt that up a little more. Perfect. Okay. Into the highlight, and then we're on to that last section, working in the fringe, and I'm super excited to show you the fringe because it's a very quick, very easy colour technique. I think we'll do it more through the surface. Of course, for the fringe, you're not going to build up the colour to the same extent because, on the original model, we wanted to keep it more, We wanted to keep it more softer. We wanted to keep it softer through that front area. So what we didn't want to do is create too much of a build-up of blonde around the fringe. We wanted to still keep a bit of a shadow to it. Now, also just be careful not to pick up the hair underneath, which I'm doing here. Let's just drop that away. There we go. Yeah, so you have to just be careful with the fringe, because if you put too much colour through there, you do run the risk of the fringe just becoming this giant blonde block, and that's definitely not the effect that we want to go with. Okay, so last section through the top, same principle, right? So working with a Y, melting it down a little higher through here, that's all good. And just build it up through the ends, like so. Perfect. Okay. Let's just move into the highlights. So if we talk about the toner, very easy. What we're going to do with the toner is we're going to do a bit of a shadow, working in with color level 8, Imagea color in gel. And we're going to dilute that down with 713. So it's going to create this kind of muted, deeper blonde, the shadow through the root area. Then through the midlands and the ends, we're going to do 10, color level 10, mixed with 927. So you have the 0.2, which is pearl, and the 7, which is violet. So they're both quite potent, quite powerful neutralizers. One of my favorites, and the reason why we're diluting it with the level 10 is to dilute the neutralizing power, because we don't want the ends of the hair to look we don't want them to look violet, we don't want them to look grey, we just want them to be like a really milky worn in kind of worn in blonde. I'm going to split this front section into two. I'm going to work this more or less the same as what we did in the collection, just for the first few sections. Then I'm going to show you a cool little trick. I learnt it years ago, and I found it was a lifesaver, particularly when I'm colouring short hair. It's a lifesaver because it's quick, easy. You can do multiple colours. And it's very, very effective. But first, let's just work with what we did with the collection. Very important that you leave enough hair out from the underneath, because if you don't, you're going to run the risk of losing any definition in the fringe. And when we cut it next week, it's quite important that we still keep that shadow in there. So you see what we've got here? Look, right from the root through to the ends. It's not bleeding onto the ends. So it's for a full head technique, it's fantastic. Just take that through. You see my section's a little bit smaller on this side, but it's okay. Being very careful to try not touch the hair from the underneath sections. And I think for the next one, I can actually do this all in one. Okay, just drop that down. There we go. Let's do the next one. Totally horizontal. Just drop that away. Clip it, twist it. Be very careful not to start clipping it into the sections you've just coloured, because if you do that, you're gonna clump everything together. You don't want that. So even if you just very gently rest on the top, this is totally fine. Pick this up without interacting with the hair underneath. I'm going to do the next section. Keeping the white weave pretty fine. Lift it up. Check the density of my weave. I'm going to go back in with the board, straight into the root. Now I have to be very careful here. I'm putting the pressure right onto the hair, just to give me control. If I don't do that, there's a risk it's going to just slip out. And it'll be impossible for me to do this. Go in, making sure I've got the tension on the root, and once I'm done, just start working it through the ends. If I have to, just work with the end of the board. Lift it up, don't drag it down. You see the angle here? I'm lifting, I'm not dragging. The reason for that is because if I drag, I'm going to end up fusing the sections together, and we don't want that. Okay, last two sections. So I'm going to show you this technique I was promising to show you. I don't know how many times I can say show you I'll use the word show in a moment. Okay, so we're going to comb the hair down to its natural fall. This technique's really cool. It's called finger highlights. It's like I said, it's perfect. Like on hair like mine, super short hair, even on like a wavy bob shape, I find it really, really effective. Now we have a freehand product, so it works perfectly in harmony with it. What you're going to do is you're going to use a comb, a tinting comb. This is a Matador. This is one of my best friends. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the product like so, and you're going to work the product into the end of the brush. You're going to use the wide teeth of the brush, not the fine teeth, yeah? And you're going to quite literally just sketch. So go from the root, sketch. From the root, sketch. I'm just going to sketch that down. And it's not going to create like a perfect highlight, but what it's going to do is it's going to create these like little pieces of highlights. There we go. And you can do this with multiple colors. So it's something that I actually do quite a lot. If I want to do just a very quick, easy freehand color, it's one of my best friends. It really is fantastic. So let's just do it again. And I even sometimes will do it with multiple colors on different levels. So you wouldn't necessarily, say you did like a halo, you could alternate your colors to change the effect. So let's go back in, like so. There's my highlight. And you get this like beautiful effect from it. You just have to make sure though that you're getting the product right through it. So you can see here, I need to do some more work. But I remember I used to have a client, I'm just going to paint a bit more for the end, just optically. I used to have a client back in London, and she used to hate having foils, like hated it with a passion. It took too long, it was too expensive, you know, she didn't like the effect you get. You know, sometimes when you're like highlighting foil, you're doing foils on like a short haircut, then you do the color, and then let's say the stylist cuts it and then they cut it all out, or you end up with like dots on the head. It's just terrible. So I found with her it was a total winner. Another way of doing this is work totally horizontally and just work the product through like so, without painting your client's face, like so. And you get this kind of like staggered lightened effect around the front. And of course you can build it up, make it more, you can make it less, it's completely up to you. So this concludes part one of the technique. I don't know if you can agree, but you can see the splitting through here. So you can see that there's no bleeding, you know, it's lifting quite beautifully. So we're now going to develop this. I'm going to rinse off the back, develop the front now for 45 minutes. And yeah, I think with the technique, just to do a bit of a recap, split the hair into four, a straight up technique, alternating between classic medium highlights and a classic balayage, so a Y into these little beautiful dots. We've worked with eye blonde freehands, alternating between 20 and 30 volumes, so we just upped it a little bit around the front. And yeah, we're going to tone it afterwards with Imagea, so watch out for the comments with the final photo and the formulas that we have used. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you'll find it interesting for your salon. Make it your own. You're all unique, so I think that's very important. And I will catch you same time, same place next week, where we're going to bring this bad boy alive with a haircut. So for now, thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.